This Big Ten Conference Preview Part 2 edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast. It's brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with the new Pick 8. Sign up with SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
What's up, guys? This is Carson Steele. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Oh, football's here.
Football is here.
Very aroused.
Joining us for some college football conference previews, Colby Nant, aka Pick Dundee. What's happening, Colby?
I got the heart of lions, tigers, and bears.
Damn it. I even brought an extra shirt change to make it seem like we didn't actually record these on the same day.
No, we gave people the illusion, minus the fact
I
that
slept here overnight.
Ryan doesn't do his laundry and or change his clothes.
Did you change your shirt?
Fuck no.
Colby didn't change his shirt. I'm
Just
the only
on that
one.
side of the studio.
I'm the only one who cares about the visual interest of the audience.
We're talking football here. If you care about my shirt,
I don't mind being open with
In
the
the-
audience.
I care about your shirt.
it's
You're wearing
the-
a nice Snoopy
It's
shirt.
the summer.
It's a Father's Day gift. First
Oh,
Father's
okay.
Day gift.
Well,
man,
congratulations.
Thank you.
Here's
Thank
my logic when grabbing a t-shirt in the morning. Is it comfortable?
Mm.
And then the second thing, is it an SGP t-shirt?
Yes.
At this point, I think I only wear.
Someone asked me, do you wear anything besides Eagles stuff or
Yeah.
your own podcast merch? And I thought, why would I?
Yeah.
What's in
same
it for
thing.
me?
Yeah.
I got a couple t-shirts that float around the rotation that haven't ripped, like my my sweet Carmelo Anthony Knicks
And
t-shirt.
I feel like whoever asked that question is trying to ridicule you.
They're jealous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They're
Like,
haters.
I think they deserve a nice fu back.
You know what's gonna
Yeah.
things all come full circle, but the idea of being a minimalist and just keeping it simple.
Oh yeah.
Why would I mean this?
So it's what Einstein did. He wore the same shirt every day.
We talk about the
Why
league.
am I going to waste brain power picking out what to wear?
And these leagues are selling the real estate on their.
Now let me help
chest.
out this Manhattan project.
They're selling the real estate on the league name. They're selling real. This is for sale. I should be promoting the product at all times, not
like
your product.
Head over to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com and you could look like Ryan Kramer.
Yeah, take a picture of you looking like me and send
Yeah.
it over. I love
Kramer
to look at
likes. Send them in.
those. Yeah,
Good luck.
basically,
Good luck finding freaks with head sizes as big as yours, Ryan.
It's a valid point. It could potentially maybe
That's how you
difficult.
lead into Ryan loves a good. His head is big talk.
Might be difficult to replicate that. Yeah, Big Ten.
We already
How we
knocked
feeling?
out part one, Illinois through Northwestern, of course, alphabetical order. It is interesting that Big Ten starts with Illinois, and again, we're calling it the Big 18. But now we start from the O's.
Is it the Big 18? Yeah. So interesting. Again, the alphabet broke the teams up in kind of in a weird way. We're going to be talking about most of the good teams, most of the real contenders down here. We did talk about Michigan last time before the Michigan people get upset, but you guys just won your championship. You can go sit down and shut up. You had it. Now you don't get to. You're not going to get two in a row. That doesn't happen in the modern era. All right. So we just fitting that we start with Ohio State here, who 8-1 last year in the conference, 11-1 overall. Lost another big game to Michigan. I don't think that's good for Ryan Day. What was it they said about him? He woke up on third base. Is that he? So he woke up.
Not they. That's Jim Harbaugh.
He woke
said
up
that about him.
with the vagina in his hand. That's
Some people
weird.
wake up on third base and think they hit triples.
That's when you wake up on third base. I have a feeling maybe you passed out. Yeah, maybe you passed out. You were having some fun. I'm assuming the other person passed out too. If you're still on third base, 10.5 is the total. -150 juiced over. plus 155 to win the conference. They stand out as having an advantage every year playing the championship game on turf in a dome. But I would argue that with the addition of Oregon, it gives them the most difficult opponent they would have ever seen in terms of like a team that is also going to be nice on turf. So Ohio State also heavy juice to make the playoff, minus 650. That doesn't seem like a healthy use of your money. Plus 450 for the Michigan fans on the no. And the championship price is plus 420, which is doesn't match the vibe of Ryan Day. That's for sure. I don't see Ryan Day pulling a Sean Payton.
Doesn't play his fat nugs
And ripping the bong with his his team. I assume we're all going to be on the under here, but let's workshop it.
Yeah. So basically, what can they get to 2 losable games? I guess their toughest games at Michigan. Oh wait, no, I'm right. Sorry, at Oregon Ducks, at Penn State.
Do you remember it was
Michigan at home? I mean, Penn State is due to win one.
Colby,
of these
when
games.
was that Oregon game where they came in there and
that
2 years?
No, it was I think 21 maybe.
That was a hell of a game.
Well, they saw Michigan win a national championship, and they saw the way Michigan scheduled the past 2 years. So shout out to that tough non-con. Ohio State's this year's Michigan with Akron, Western Michigan, and Marshall in the non-con.
It's a good start to the season, and you got a bye week in there. Just
why would you give yourself a bye week after Akron and Western Michigan? Why
doesn't
waste
matter.
it?
The over is cashing.
Really?
Yeah. This is. I don't know if you.
I don't see them losing 2 regular season games.
I see some losable games.
They're by far the most talented roster that like in college football.
They got to go to Oregon. They got to go to Penn State. They got to go to my Spartans.
They
who are
own
be
James Franklin though.
Scrappy.
Man.
That's all of these things are true.
Penn State's due to win one of these, but
they did.
Are they going to lose?
They blocked that kick. 7
Are
years
they going to
ago.
lose at Oregon and at Penn State?
No, I
don't see it.
I don't see it either. And
they lose maybe one of those.
Yeah. I will say I want like that. I think this is the year they get Michigan, but they got to get tougher as a team. But I think Chip Kelly could maybe help out with that. But
Chip Kelly's there.
I mean, they added Caleb Downs. They added they just killed it in the portal. They added like
quarterback.
Well, I mean, assuming it's going to be Will Howard.
Is there a question?
Well, they brought in Julian Sand from Alabama, so they killed it in the transfer portal. They spent, this is them in Miami are the ones that spent like $1 trillion bringing in a roster.
Has that worked for someone yet?
Well, it worked for Nick Saban his whole life, right?
But like these splashy, like Texas A&M, like $100 million rosters.
I guess we don't know.
Yeah,
we haven't seen enough.
But we do have at least like 3 or 4
It worked
years.
for the whole SEC for a long time.
But having the splashiest recruiting class has not worked.
Yeah, but this was the transfer portal class. It's not the recruiting class.
That's fine. It's new people it's new cash on campus in the locker room.
Urban Meyer called it the best roster he's ever seen in the history of college football.
Is he coaching it?
No.
Okay.
But
he's coaching it. I'm in.
I'll take look. This schedule's they only have 3 real away games.
Ryan Day is so pissed.
They get and look what they give him. They give him.
I want to fade him. I want to fade him early in the playoffs.
Who's they? Who's this they?
Not regular.
The Big Ten. The Big Ten gives them Michigan State in September, of course, because that's when a new coach. That's when you want to play Michigan State. They give them,
Iowa at home.
Yeah, well, look, they have 3 away games. They have 3 true away games.
Can we not say that the opposite is true? I mean, that will be Michigan State will be the first test for the quarterback situation of Ohio State.
How do you only have 3 road games?
Because Northwestern moved that game to Wrigley.
Yeah, it's
you're
right. And
it's a faux.
But honestly, they're like I'm not joking around. They copied Michigan's format. The only problem is that there's a 12-team playoff this year.
Yeah, over.
Yeah. Give me that. I think they're 11-1 or 12-0.
You don't think that the Nebraska game is a little sleepy?
No.
Homecoming, Nebraska could be pretty
if
hot.
It was in Lincoln, not
coming
in
off a bye,
Ohio Stadium.
No.
Fuck no, they're gonna win by 40.
You guys are really being. I'm not enjoying the cut of your jibs right now.
Do you remember when?
Do
you remember when we were at the A&M game?
Yes.
We went to A&M Ole Miss.
Yes.
And there was one guy for Ole Miss that you said, Colby, who is that? That's Quinshon Judkins. Guess what? He transferred to Ohio State. They already have Travion Henderson, so they have the 2 best running backs in the nation.
Back?
Yeah.
Oh, damn,
their roster's insane.
And Chip Kelly doesn't have to worry about anything but coaching offense.
Doesn't have to make eye contact or talk to anyone.
All right, give
Not
me
even the black
over.
players?
That's actually a great point. Chip Kelly doesn't have to talk to the black guys. Give me the over. My handicap has shifted.
What a weird. I can't remember a time where now, especially because UCLA is in the conference, you go from being the conference from a head coach of one team to deciding to take another job at a lower position. Colby, have you ever seen that?
I've never seen that.
That's crazy.
I've never seen that.
Well, I mean, what do you mean? The North Dakota State coach left to be like a linebacker.
Well, from FCS to USC though, USC's got the most draft picks in NFL history.
But you're a head coach of a prestigious program.
True, but you're in the FCS and you've won like 5 national championships. What else is there to do to challenge yourself?
But also, I mean, Chip Kelly is. I assume he's publicly said he just didn't want to deal with being a head coach and he wants to just coach football.
I think he had a lot of things. I don't think UCLA cares about football.
Yeah, that's the other.
And that's
you're right. Chip Kelly's going to take. Man, Ohio State's going to win a national championship.
I mean,
fuck,
they're easily in the playoffs.
Yeah, this conference sucks that they're in. All right, next up. So we're all in the over.
This is the most. I find this college football season the most like refreshing that I can recall in my life, with the exception to the Big Ten, because we kind of know how it's going to go.
It does seem like it's going to be high. Well, this makes me like Iowa even more. Oregon coming off a nice year, 8-1 in the Pac, formerly the Pac-12. Rest in peace. 10-2 overall. Bo Nix now on to the NFL. 10.5 is the win total. Pretty down the middle. Plus 100 to the over. Minus 120 under. 2-1 to win the conference, minus 250 to make the playoff, 2-1 to miss the playoff, 8.5 to 1 to win the Natty. That price seems steep. So let talk to the people about how they're just going to replace Bo Nix.
They got Dylan Gabriel, and they got Dante Moore, the quarterback at UCLA. So they have 2 good quarterbacks. They're going all in. You know, Phil Knight's like, 80 years old. He's got stem cells and shit. But he wants to win a championship in his life, so they went all in too a little bit.
They have some tough. I think you compare this to Ohio State's schedule, and granted, obviously they have Ohio State at home, but they have some tough spots here on the schedule. Colby, am I crazy for thinking that? At Oregon State.
The problem is Oregon State. Like I would love that game if it was in November. Oregon State lost so much. Their whole roster transferred out, and then their coaching staff went to Michigan State. So, like, I think you're catching Oregon State for the Civil War at the right time.
At Michigan, but Michigan, I'm not as high on this year. At Wisconsin,
that's sneaky to me.
That could be
especially this November 16th too. Like, I think that's a sneaky game for the Ducks there.
I don't know, Colby. You got them going over 10.5.
I do, but I don't feel as confident with this one as Ohio State because. Oregon probably should have lost to Texas Tech last year. Texas Tech kind of fumbled that game away in Lubbock. So I still question a little bit more. But when you look at the road spots, like I said, they get Oregon State in September, which is what you want. They get UCLA, new coach as well in September, what you want. Michigan State, new coach. That's the first week of October. So you're getting them on the front half of the schedule. At Purdue is not an intimidating. I mean, their crowd's good, but they're not good. But so there's no real test besides Michigan and Wisconsin there on the road. At home, it's just Ohio State. I lean towards the over, but I wouldn't. It wouldn't shock me if they're 10-2, but I lean towards the over.
This seems crazy that entering a new conference that they could be sitting here with a 10.5 win total. Are we sure we like Dylan Gabriel that much?
I mean, that's the other thing is
he's like
just transitioning to Big Ten. You're playing all new opponents,
but I'm on that like. I know the narrative.
I'm throwing it out there.
I think the Pac-12 was better than the Big Ten last year.
Yeah.
Michigan beat.
But there is
beat
a style.
Washington
There is a style
play
play a little bit different.
Sure.
Big Ten wise.
But they kind of looked out for them for the most part. You know what I mean? Like that. Like.
Who's they?
Like Tony Petitti, the commissioner of the Big Ten, and the scheduling.
The powers.
The scheduling. They didn't give them like.
I see like looking at the schedule right now. I see how you could say 11-1. I just think,
it's tough.
I think there's going to be one of these games that catches them a little off guard.
A lot of losable games here.
Well, I don't. I wouldn't even say losable games. I would just say there's going to be another game that we're not seeing on the schedule right now that's going to trip them up. So I'm going to say
I think it could be the Wisconsin game.
Yeah,
that game scares me a little bit.
Wisconsin in November.
Boise.
Boise started freshman quarterback. Yeah, I don't know.
Boise State. I guess they are at home. Yeah, at Michigan, which I don't know about Michigan, but still, I don't know if these Oregon guys are used. They've never played the big.
Are we worried at all about the? We talk about this in the NFL when teams go to London, they're not sure about the travel logistical part of the trip. Is there going to be any learning?
I think there is. I think there's going to be There's going to be one game that they lose because they're in a new conference and they're not like. There's going to be something that sneaks up on.
Like they didn't know the closer airport is.
No, I don't think
Midway. They went to Midway.
Should have went O'Hare. I'll go under 10.5. Kramer, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of I'm with Colby more than I am. Yeah, but I can't.
I still think they're going to be good. I just think they're going to lose a game we don't see right now.
I can't take both overs, and I do think I'm not all that in on Dylan Gabriel, and I do think there's going to be some weirdness with these because I agree with you. The Pac-12 was better, but I don't think it matters when you have to join a new conference and like things are just different. And even though it's probably not super meaningful, it probably will matter and equal a win. So Penn State, this is their year. Penn State fans are hilarious. It's a very sad. It's a very sad group. Every year's their year. Maybe this year's their year. Tough luck.
They talk all this shit, but they cashed their over 9.5 last year.
But you lost Coach Pry to my Hokies. That's the end of it. 7-2 in conference last year. 10-2 overall. 9.5 is the total this year. -170 on the over. +140 to the under. 5-1 to win the conference. -140 to make the playoff. Wow. +115 to miss. 20-1 to win the Natty. They are a sexy pick due to their schedule, as I'm sure Colby will allude to. Yeah, nothing sexy about eating fresh ice cream out there in Happy Valley. But they're a sexy pick to do some things this year. When you look at the
massive continuity,
when you see who they miss, you're excited. My biggest problem, and I'll leave it as this: the quarterback's a problem, and I will tell you this: that the team will not be successful as long as the offense is led by him. So unless there's someone else coming in, I'm not in on Penn State being a power in the new Big Ten.
They're not gonna lose more than 2 games. Like just look at this schedule. How do they lose more than 2 games? I don't see it. I mean,
I am super intrigued because Drew Aller looked like shit last year.
Horrible
and
shit.
In the spring game this year.
Horrible shit.
They won 10 games with them last year.
But they brought in the offensive coordinator from Kansas, but Lance Leipold, and they have stud running backs. Both their running backs are nasty. But I'm with you, Kramer. I lean under.
Quarterbacks matter though.
I think that game starts the rivalry game in Morgantown, and
they can lose that game.
They fucking ran it up on them last year. Unjustly, that was a lot closer, and with 14 seconds left, they could have let the clock ran out. They ran it for a touchdown.
Spread. Remember how many spreads they covered last year? Remember that?
I
and
think
the year before. Why do you guys? I get you. You're missing the take on James Franklin is that he can't beat Ohio State and Michigan, which is true. The best part is they're not playing Michigan this year. They're playing Ohio State. All right, fine. They lose that game.
I think he's 0-1 against USC.
They lose one game you might not think, and then they're going to win the rest.
They play at West Virginia. That will be a tough game. They play on the road against the Trojans out here in LA.
That'll be a home game.
They go to Camp Randall,
and then they play Ohio State.
This nasty back-to-back road spot in November.
Minnesota beat them last time in Minneapolis. Man,
you guys are crazy.
Well, you asked me where the losses are. I think they're going to lose one of USC or Wisconsin. I think they're going to lose Ohio State, and I think one of at West Virginia, at Purdue, at Minnesota. So 9-3 is what I got them going.
13 returning starters, tons of continuity, especially in a year where teams are lacking that.
9-3 could still get you to the playoffs though in the Big Ten.
That's fine, but not getting over this.
Yeah,
this
I'm with you. I lean under too. I think, and another thing is they get Washington on November 9th. By then, and I'm not high on Washington because they lost so much, but you're basically getting fish in year 2 there at Washington. Anytime you get the first year coaches in November, those teams are a lot better than they are in October and September. So I don't know. I just think there's enough.
They got to have it. They got to show you they can score points.
Illinois beat them the last time they were in Pennsylvania.
The issue with Penn State lately is they have not been able to score when needed. Like in the big games, that's usually what they're.
I am super intrigued to see him with that offensive coordinator. But once again, like he comes over that, if you follow Lance Leipold teams, whether he was at Buffalo or he was at Kansas, they always have mobile quarterbacks. Drew Aller doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to be running the ball for you.
He's a bum, and I can't wait for draft season next year for people to get excited about Drew Aller because of his arm strength. We're going to see
10-3 last year, 11-2 year before.
They're good. I do love the Tom Allen hire as DC though. Look, 10-3 last year, but they didn't play in Morgantown. All right, you could argue the schedule's harder this year because yes, they don't have Michigan, but they have to play at Wisconsin and at USC, as opposed and at West Virginia. When last year they were hosting West Virginia.
That back-to-back road spot at the end is going to be something diabolical is going to happen there.
Max got into your brain, Colby. They're going to.
Oh, I like that. Mac has gotten into his brain. All right.
Circa Sports giving away $16 million guaranteed. It doesn't matter how many people sign up for the contest. They're giving away $16 million, $10 million in Circa Survivor, $6 million in Circa Millions. Circa Millions, of course, picking 5 NFL teams against the spread every week. Circa Survivor, you guys know how to play Survivor. I'm not going to embarrass you by explaining it. And the best part is sign up in Las Vegas or Reno. But you should sign up in Las Vegas, hang out with us. Contest weekend, August 22nd through 24th. Got an open bar event. You can get set up with your proxy so you can play anywhere across the globe. You just need to sign up in Las Vegas, circusports.com. Check them out. Get in, get to Vegas. Ideally Vegas. You could do it other places, but Vegas is the spot. Sign up there, play from anywhere. 16 million in guaranteed prizes. Speaking of guarantees, I guarantee you're going to enjoy playing over on Underdog Fantasy. Their pick 'em. You can win 325 times your entry, which is insane. They're always offering a bunch of pick 'em specials, which are super fun to get down on. Higher, lower fantasy projections, and again, combine them together, you can win. 325 times your entry is insane. Plus, you get the deposit match up to $250 in bonus cash and a special pick'em entry to get you started. Use that promo code SGPN. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code SGPN.
And we continue. Lot of unders from me. Very pessimistic. Purdue. Have you heard from Drew Brees lately? Do we know what he's up to?
You believe you can do?
I hope he's okay post football. 3-6 in conference for Purdue. 4-8 overall. They're the low total for this episode. 4.5 plus 140 to the over, minus 180 to the under. Adjusted, they are the low number in conference at 3.8. 35 plus 35,000 for the conference. 1,001. And they are the only 1,001 team we will be discussing to win the college football championship. What's the word with Purdue here? It seems like not a lot of optimism. They weren't exactly given the gift of a clean schedule. Non-con includes Notre Dame.
Well,
at Oregon State. Are you kidding me?
They had a rivalry game against an FCS.
Come on, what are you doing to yourself?
But yeah, I mean, look, I'm a Ryan Walters guy. He played safety at Colorado, but I'm just not very high on this team. They got their best players left too. Like their star D end is now at Texas A&M. Their star receiver, where did he go? He went somewhere. I just
didn't memorize all that.
They did win 2 of the last 3, including a win over Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a hard schedule. Purdue always does this to themselves. In my opinion, they schedule the hardest and get dealt the hardest.
After the bye, they finish with 3 out of 5 and really 3 out of 4. 3 of their last 4 games are on the road. The home game is Penn State. It goes at Ohio State, Penn State, at Michigan State, at Indiana.
I mean,
even if you're optimistic, you're splitting those games at the end.
I mean, where are the wins?
I'm sure you could get to look at numbers, but Ryan, off the top of your head, how many games right now, looking at this schedule, how many games do you think they're favored in?
I'd imagine they'll be favored in Indiana State.
And the rest
Northwestern, they could be. I'm saying. I don't know that they will.
No, I'm saying right now.
I would.
Northwestern at home?
I would say.
I don't know if they would be.
The
favored.
only
That'd be like a
games they
pick 'em.
won't be 3-point dogs or more at home. Like Nebraska will be favored over them. Notre Dame will be favored over them. Oregon will be favored over them. Northwestern will probably be favored over them. Maybe not.
Yeah.
So let's just say it's Indiana State, Northwestern. That's 2. So where are the other?
And let's say they shock the world and upset someone. 2 upsets.
They have 2 back-to-back road spots. They have 2 stretches in their schedule where they play 3 road games in 4 games.
I think if they
and
won
11 Power Fives.
if they won 4 games with this schedule, you would kind of feel good about the season.
Just pencil this into the lock category.
Yeah, I'm all over the.
I'm with you. How do they get to 3?
This happens every year for them, though, dude. If you've been doing this, I'm telling you, you've been paying attention to this for a long time. They get dealt that death blow every time.
You talking about the Hawk Tua girl? The death blow. Rutgers. Oh, Big Ten football in New Jersey. You know, the home of football is New Jersey, Colby. I know you know that. That's where the football was born.
Started with college football, Kramer.
A lot of sports started in New Jersey, actually. Should look it up.
I heard the Flying Squirrel started there too.
That not true. That actually was a Chicago.
That is
style.
a disgusting act.
Need that thicker crust. 3-6 in conference, 6-6 overall. They did well in the non-con. 6.5 is the total this year, so they're basically the same team. Plus 130 to the over, minus 160 to the under.
I mean, Rutgers was one of my. I feel like we've been on a streak here every year of smashing the Rutgers over. I mean, it was like 3.5 last year.
It was pretty low. Big adjustment. 150 to 1 to win the division. 800 to 1 to win the championship.
To win the division, you mean the conference?
What did I say? Division?
Yeah.
To win the league. I'm gonna start calling them leagues.
This is what I mean.
This is too big for a conference.
Hear me out here.
Well, because I said to Colby, we were talking about it before the show. I go, "Hey, Colby, we're gonna smash the Rutgers over again." I'm like, "But it's 6.5," and then Colby's
big.
like, "Look at their schedule," and then I'm like, "Oh my god, they might
have
win
the best
conference.
schedule in the whole conference.
The Scarlet Knights.
They don't play Ohio State, Michigan,
schedule.
Oregon, or USC. Or no, I'm sorry, hold on, or Penn State. That is. So the top 4 teams they do not play. At USC, okay, they'll lose that game, but every other
Here's
game
their
is
schedule.
winnable.
All right, so they got the Howard Bison, then they got the Akron Zips.
2 dog shit teams,
and then an early bye week to prepare for my Virginia Tech Hokies.
But they beat Virginia Tech and not only did they beat them, they averaged over 7 yards a rush against
on
Virginia
the
Tech last
road
year.
in Lane Stadium. This one I have inside breaking news, Sean. This one it sounds like will be a night game. Good luck, Rutgers. Then you get Washington coming all the way to the East Coast.
That's a win.
At Nebraska, tough game.
Winnable.
There. Wisconsin coming all the way to Jersey.
UCLA on
win.
UCLA
Piscataway.
Oh, that's been the joke. Colby's been leaning on that joke for the last 2 years, ever since we broke the news. Then they take to the road to take on USC. You know how many people from Jersey are going to be at that game?
They might sneak up on USC.
They might though. They might. But here's the problem: is I think
USC's soft.
They could be
not.
undefeated coming into that game.
A bye week. You said that as if it's like a national disaster. Like the Rutgers,
they have a top 10 recruiting class right now.
Rutgers could be undefeated. Minnesota off the bye. I mean, these are all winnable games.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
They don't have a single losable.
Let me build you something. Hear me out. Hear me out.
They don't have a single lock. The only loss is Nebraska and Virginia Tech. So that's 10-2.
Let me build you something here.
What's
the Virginia
total?
Tech game's irrelevant, right?
How dare you?
No, I'm saying like for them to make the Big Ten championship.
I got them going 10-2.
I honestly,
dude.
I mean, I only have them losing. Like that's what I'm saying. I think 9-3 is like what they're gonna be.
Lock it up.
I was hoping they had a make playoff market for this Rutgers team, but even
they could easily go 10-2.
Rutgers USC is Friday night, 8 p.m. local time.
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean,
a little late.
I still think they lose that game, but dude, my point is 1 loss. No, I was saying from the upset potential.
Kramer, let's add Rutgers to win the Big Ten to our list of.
No, hold on. Let's talk about this because this is the problem that all these conferences are going to run in. Let's say they lose to Virginia Tech and USC.
Yeah.
Right. Or even another.
So 1 loss, but 2 overall.
Yeah, and Ohio State and Oregon play each other.
Yeah.
This is gonna be
Iowa and
hilarious.
Ohio State play each other. Michigan plays Oregon.
Rutgers
yeah.
is going to take down the entire college football playoff system.
big.
They're going to be like, no more
Sean.
letting the teams decide it on the field.
Everyone's been so upset about TV like taking control and the conferences being complicit. They just walked into a bear trap.
I know.
They're going to accidentally leave us with Iowa and Rutgers in the championship game.
Greg Schiano's going to come out smelling like roses.
They're really stupid for going to that many teams because it's going to be a reoccurring. It's not just this conference. It's all the conferences.
If we get a 4-way tie between like Ohio State, Penn State, or Ohio State, Oregon, Iowa, and Rutgers, and somehow Rutgers and Iowa win the tiebreaker,
it's possible.
Oh, that would break everything. This would be excellent. All right, so they screwed everything up.
Now, Colby, wait, real quick. How do they decide
The conferences haven't worked them out yet. They're gonna
the tiebreakers because there's 18 teams. The tiebreakers are going to matter.
This is something that
They haven't figured
a lot of the press has asked about this right now, and they haven't
Is it point
decided
differential?
No, it probably is going to be something like that. But ranking,
even mutual opponents. I don't know if they could. Obviously, conference record would be the first.
They might not even have a tiebreaker here, though. Like I'm saying, like if they play each other too much, like Michigan plays Ohio State and Oregon
and Rutgers. Their conference record is going to be good because they're playing the bottom part of the fucking Big Ten.
And dude, we saw this with Louisville in the ACC.
This is our greatest moment as a show. Watch, they're going to be like 4-8.
Yeah.
But still, the value is insane.
Plus 130 to the over. I mean, I do think there's an element of the way the schedule has to occur that will just allow teams like Rutgers to not necessarily be that good.
Let me give you 3 examples last year, right? Louisville was not the second best team in the ACC. They ended up in the ACC championship, and they almost won that. They would have made the 12-team playoff because of that. And
I think whatever team makes the Big Ten championship has to probably get in the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
So I think you're right.
Colby, if you woke up from a dream and you saw the logos of Rutgers, Purdue, and USC all next to each other, what the fuck? 20 years ago, what would you think was going on?
I would say, I mean, you don't want to know that. I'd be like,
do that?
some 3-man.
I'd be like, what in the fuck is going on? I'm out on the sport, but dude, so Oklahoma State's another. They were not the second best team in the Big 12, but they played for the Big 12 championship. They got waxed by Texas. SMU in the AAC was not the second best team last year. Right?
You need divisions.
Well, my point is, but that was then. That's before these conferences went to 17 and 18 teams.
I'll tell you the secret, and they haven't figured this out yet. Maybe the playoff expands because each conference has a little 4-team playoff, and you get little 4-team divisions where you play everyone in your little division, and you have some formula like the NFL where you play the first place team from the other divisions. And then,
I think to your point, Kramer, I don't know if it's officially part of the playoff, but at 18 teams, having a 4-team mini playoff to decide who the champion, I think
it's much more logical.
Because I mean, honestly, there's going to be
get to 20 teams.
How are you going to get to the top 2 teams without there being ties?
It's
and then it's
great
going to be conference
because
record. Then
they're going to know how the little guy felt, the ECU fan felt.
This'll be
when
great.
Penn State misses the playoffs because Rutgers' schedule. I cannot wait.
Honestly, this is how you solve it.
East Carolina.
You get to 20 teams. You have 5 teams in each division. You play each team twice. That's 8 games right there. You play 3 other teams.
We should delete this part of the show because I don't know.
We're telling them.
I don't know. I don't want everyone on it. It's going to be too easy.
I mean, I was just going to do the NFL scheduling model for college football. It's perfect. All right, USC, the Trojans. How many private institutions are now in the Big Ten? Is this number 2? Northwestern,
Purdue, right?
Purdue's a public.
Are they public?
They're a land grant
Really?
school. Yeah. So the second,
I knew that.
the second private school institution of the great public school conference, the Big Ten, which now has 18 teams, coming off a 5-4 season in the Pac-12. RIP, rest in peace. With the best quarterback in the land, 7-5 overall.
Colby Miller Moss. What's your take on?
Whoa.
He looked really good in the bowl game. I was questioning him before that, but I tell you, they brought in Jaden Mavia from UNLV.
So Miller Moss
that sounds like a plant that you crush up and put in a drink or something.
No, but my point is they're sound at the quarterback spot. Both of them can play.
Yeah, he's 40 to 1 to win the Heisman.
7.5. This is the interesting thing to me. Caleb Williams is out. They were a dreadful defense last year. The win total doesn't change much off of what they were last year, 7.5. Pretty even juice. 25-1 to win the conference, 60-1 to win the national championship, 410 to win to make the playoff, -590 to miss.
Can we talk about something for a second? Look,
that seems like free money.
I've always disliked USC, but I got to give them their flowers here.
Oh wow!
Comparing them to Ohio State. Ohio State's non-con is what? What was it? It was Akron, Western Michigan, and Marshall.
Yep.
USC's is LSU, Notre Dame, and Utah State. Utah State made a bowl, guys. They played 3 really good teams.
The Pac-12.
You want to talk about games sneaking up on them after the they have a Sunday night like opening week
LSU game, in Vegas.
LSU in Vegas, neutral site, and then 6 days later you're playing Utah State. That Utah State team could sneak up on them.
Already got a ticket on LSU -3 is in my pocket. Already.
Yeah,
they did try to get out of that game, which I find hilarious.
That's a bad sign.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is because the Pac-12
the schedule
still feels like, well, they haven't figured out the point is to play easy teams.
I know. I respect it. USC's never played an FCS.
Is this part of the home and home that we saw LSU, or is this completely unrelated?
The UCLA. That was UCLA.
Oh, I'm sorry, confusing these great LAU institutions.
But having said all that, I'm going to take the over.
So let's see.
Did you watch them play last
LSU neutral site? Well, what have they done? I've hearing some rumblings that they've improved their defense. What's your take on what they've done?
They brought in UCLA's defensive coordinator, and UCLA's team defense was pretty good. Anthony Lynn, I'm sorry, the son of Anthony Lynn.
Is it D'Anthony Lynn?
It's D'Anton Lynn, I believe.
Okay,
right.
I'll look that up.
But I do think they're a little bit tougher than a year ago. They went out and got some guys in the portal too that I think can make a difference. But really,
Anthony Ray D'Anton Lynn II.
But another thing I'll go back to is I feel like last year the Pac-12 was a lot better than the Big Ten. I know they lost the national championship, but I'm talking about the depth of the conference. And when I look and I see Minnesota, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Maryland on the schedule with Nebraska, I'm not that intimidated by that. And then you add in the fact that UCLA is also coming and they're kind of a mess right now, and Washington's kind of a mess. I just think they're ahead of everybody else, despite that ridiculous. Like it's a hard schedule. There's no true. Like you're getting shittier Big Ten teams than your average Pac-12 teams, in my opinion. But you are losing Caleb Williams, big loss. I mean, Miller Moss could be exciting. Obviously, he'll probably put up some good numbers in that offense.
What if Caleb Williams did carry and do everything for that team?
I mean, they won the bowl game against Louisville, who was went to the ACC championship, and Miller Moss looked amazing.
Bowl games don't matter. I mean, it's a fair. You have to say it, but
also Caleb Williams did fumble a bunch. Maybe he caused some turnovers. Maybe he was trying too hard to overcompensate for that defense.
I'll say this, man.
That defense was just so bad. It's tough to talk myself into a team winning 8 games.
But they were playing great offenses. When I look and I see Rutgers and Minnesota and Wisconsin, those are not great offenses.
How dare we? We're just saying nice things about Rutgers.
But
and we're going to be in the Coliseum for that Rutgers game.
We just said Rutgers is winning it all. So
I'm just saying Rutgers is a great defensive team. Yeah. Their offense has been asked for a solid decade.
Here's how I
feel like their offense is going to get worse because they do. Caleb Williams was obviously really good.
But dude, I'm with Lincoln Riley always has good quarterbacks.
That's true.
Like go back to East Carolina,
and shitty defenses.
Yeah.
It feels like they're 7-5 again.
This is a crazy number.
I'm on the over.
I'm on the under.
They also have the Nebraska game,
and they also did them a favor. They don't even go to the East Coast.
Oh boy!
They October 19th in College Park,
Maryland. Yeah,
it'll be half empty. That's a win.
On the under. Hey, if you like winning, you got to set up your old account over on Rhythm. First off, you already won a free 7-day trial. Hook that up for all the listeners and viewers, and it is a great tool to start working on your own projections. Or if you don't feel like doing the heavy lifting of coming up with your own little projections, picking the stats you like, the stats you don't like, let Rhythm do that and just use their formulas. You got a couple different options to build out some great picks, some great props. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Get your 7-day free trial. They've been crushing it. Dog days of summer right now. WNBA and golf, they have been dominating. So a bunch of great props and winners over there. And then start tinkering. Get your football models ready to go for kickoff. sportsgamingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Talking all those models.
Oh yeah.
Thought you were talking about the SEC recruiting chaperones or whatever they called them. The campus tour chaperones. That's what they called them. UCLA. I would love to. We really should get Decker on to hear his take on the upcoming season. Maybe we'll have to get a UCLA.
Chip Kelly leaving to be the OC of Ohio State. It's just mind-boggling.
We're gonna. What we'll do is when we have him on for the Chargers, we'll get a UCLA update.
And Bill Walton dying.
No, that's
Kramer and UCLA does come before USC in alphabetical order. Am I correct? What am I missing here? I mean, you gonna adjust your sheets so we're not embarrassed.
That's a good point. I didn't catch that from the sports books. I actually, full disclosure, this list was generated by AI via sportsbook odds. So one of I'll not name the sportsbook.
My CPU is a neural net processor.
They must have not
a learning computer
sorted this. Well,
a 2-bit operation we run.
I think I know why, because I think they probably have it technically listed at Southern California, and so that probably is why it sits ahead of University of California, Los Angeles. UCLA 5-4 in conference, in the Pac-12. Rest in peace. 7-5 overall. Now down to 5.5. They did lose a lot. Also,
Carson Steele,
coaching department and players. Plus 125 on the over. Minus 155 to the under. Adjusted, that's all the way down to 5. Sean, this is one of the lower numbers in the conference. 200-1 to win the conference. 800-1 to win the national championship.
This is a lock.
no one believes in them. When they show up, Colby.
Sean, it's gonna be so empty in that building this year.
This is a bummer because I like going to UCLA games.
We're gonna go.
I'm gonna go.
The tickets will be free.
Well, that's like that when they're good. Like even when they're having some success,
don't tell Randy Cross.
So the first time I ever went to a UCLA game, it was like, what guys? Like the whole lead up to the day of, I don't have a ticket yet. They're like, don't worry about it. I'm like, but I don't have a ticket. What do you mean? Don't worry about it. And we literally walk up. We're just walking into the game, and he just walks up to the ticket window. And he's like, "Hey, can I get another ticket?" Yeah, I remember thinking, like, "What the fuck kind of?"
There was a concession stand out front, and you're like, "Oh, let me get a hot dog real quick." And you're like, that hot dog comes free with the ticket. And you're like, "No shit."
Buy one, get one. I did actually see a guy when we went, Ryan, last UCLA game we watched. I did see a guy bring in a charcuterie board, and I made a mental note to tell Colby.
Well, I told you,
friend of the program, Scott Bowser and Justin Decker and their crew. They bring in like halftime food. They have a meetup spot where, now that I know where it is, if you're lucky enough to be there when they show up, some food may be in your future. But yeah, people just they literally bring the picnic into the stadium, which is smart because they didn't have water the last time we were there. We're fucking dying.
That's still like one of the worst hangovers of my life.
That was when Colby was trying to find Will Wade.
We ran into that country LSU guy. There were a lot of hot
the guy that was pissing on your truck.
He pissed near it. Or that might have been Patty C that actually pissed on the truck.
That was
Colby wanted to fight that guy. That was the guy.
I do remember.
He had the big bet on that he showed you.
So I had an insane hangover. It's super hot, and then I'm like, I just need water. I wait 20 minutes for water, and then they're like, we don't have water. So I ordered Topo Chico hard seltzer. That was the closest thing to water. And oh god, my head hurts thinking about it.
Yeah, not water. Not water. All right. UCLA.
God damn, their road schedule's so hard. Look at this. At LSU.
Have you seen
Penn State?
Have you seen the mileage?
Rutgers, at Nebraska, at Washington.
I should have had this loaded for this, man, but someone did it. Like they went through all.
Even if they're okay, this is a brutal schedule for a good team.
No, they went through all the history of college football. Since the sport kicked off, and this is times 3 the amount of mileage. The most was before,
because teams don't typically go. I mean, honestly,
to the island and then to Baton Rouge
and at Hawaii. Yeah. How'd I miss that?
And Piscataway and Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Is there a team that's ever played at Hawaii and at New Jersey?
No way.
Hawaii. Well, and they're in the state of Washington, in Seattle, almost in Canada. They're in the middle of the Pacific.
Nebraska.
They're in the middle of the country in Nebraska, and they're in Pennsylvania, and New Jersey.
Send them to Brazil, the Eagles, Packers,
and they go to LSU. They literally go to all the outer points of the country.
Minnesota.
This is another one that doesn't normally do FCS. They did put one after recently.
Good thing they have that bye week, week 1.
This is dangerous.
Wait, is that a week 0?
They might lose that game, man, because they're breaking. Look, I don't understand what the hell is going on at UCLA. Because Deshaun Foster, who I liked as a running back, like maybe the guy can coach or not, but historically running back coaches don't just
they're
all of a sudden kill it as head coaches.
They're the rah guys.
And then I thought when Chip Kelly left that maybe they would go all in on Chris Peterson or something and just throw him a bunch of money since they got this Big Ten money coming. But no, they seemed like they kind of phoned it in, and it kind of seems like Chip Kelly was right that they just don't really give a shit. And I can tell you this: I wouldn't want to break in a brand new head coach on the road at like Hawaii. I think is going to be a bowl team. We had June Jones on. Yeah. I think this is like a big step for them. I still think UCLA's favored there, but it's dangerous. And there's no easy.
Where's their first win? Minnesota.
Their other non-con games are at LSU and home to Fresno. Fresno's beat them 4 straight times. Jeff Tedford and Fresno is going to win again.
This is an under.
This is a lock, man.
Clear under.
What are they winning? Maybe Indiana.
Hawaii's a 15.5 point home dog. That's crazy.
Is that the number?
Yeah, take the points.
So will they?
We're all on the UCLA under.
Will they be favored against India? Yes. So they'll be favored against Indiana. They'll be favored against Hawaii, and they'll be favored against Minnesota.
I don't know that they'll be favored against Minnesota
and Fresno.
No.
So they're favored in 4 games.
Fresno's going to be like 10-2 by then. If it was Fresno in September, yeah.
All right, another lock. I like a lot of these. Oh, this is so great. There's 18 teams in this conference so far. Between part 1 and part 2, I've had 5 overs or 6 overs. Kind of on pace. Sharp. Washington, UW, the Huskies 9-0 ran the table with Michael Penix. Great pick to win the Rookie of the Year in the National Football League. Talk about regression from 12 down to 6.5, -120 to the over, +100 to the under. 65 to 1 to win the conference, +880 to make the playoff. Weird they gave, of all the teams to include a playoff price, they included Washington. Maybe they're just to catch some of their alumni are still drunk and happy, because there are many other teams that haven't had a playoff price that are more deserving than the Washington Huskies. -1800 on the no. Do we just pool all the money we have, Sean, and put it on the no here? +250 or 250 to 1 to win the national championship. Washington has no chance.
Only 6 returning starters.
This is insane. The fact that we can bet a no on them to make the playoff is insane to me. They aren't gonna sniff the playoff.
Yeah, they're this year's TCU, and even with that stat you said, 6 returning starters. That's 6 returning starters that have started in college football. On this roster, they only bring back 2% of their roster from a year ago.
Wow.
And the punters, I read that like the punter and the kicker included in that.
This is one where, like, to me, and let's talk about this, because Jedd Fisch comes in. Like, I understand that DeBauer left for Alabama, and that's tough. That's a tough break, because you thought you had this guy locked up long term. One of the only jobs I think he would have left for was Alabama. But
you can't blame him.
But you look back at last season's Arizona team, and you say, okay, well, if Jaden Delora doesn't get injured against Mississippi State, I would have liked to see a larger sample size of Jedd Fisch, because Noah Fafita comes in and they ball out, right?
Yeah.
You look at what he did prior to that. This is a guy that had 2 losing seasons. Did they catch lightning in a bottle for 1 year? That's what it might have been, because you look back at their schedule and you say, hey, okay, they did lose to a bad Mississippi State team when Delora was in. Fafita comes in and they rattle off a bunch of wins, but they still only beat Stanford by 1. They beat Oregon State by 3. They beat Colorado by 3. I'm not ready to say that this is a great hire, and I question it, actually. So I love the under here, and I'm not sure that this is going to be the solution for Washington long term.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. How did he do at the beginning of his tenure?
I mean, he won 1 game in 5 games, but I mean, so he did get better every year. But my question, I would just like to see it sustained. But
he wasn't good right away.
Yeah, he was 1-11.
So
yeah.
like the idea that they're going to be horrible this year feels
They're like
damn,
TCU
another
went to the
under?
national championship. They were 5-7 last year.
But they can still be. I mean, I don't know if they need to be horrible. They can still be 6-6 and go under the sun. You know,
They
but
got
they
our
might
guy
be.
Will Rogers starting at quarterback, coming in from Mississippi State.
are they running the air raid?
They are running
Their version?
a variation. I don't think it'll be
A variant.
Yeah. I mean,
To get vaccinated for the air raid. Weber State on the schedule. We worried about that one.
they keep a good program, but
Sean's
they got
direction-
rated in the portal.
Sean's
Yeah.
directional Michigan team, Eastern Michigan.
No, I was Central Michigan. Fire up.
Is that
Chiefs.
you, Eastern
I'm
Michigan?
EMU
Oh.
all day. Watch out.
Kramer was Western Michigan.
Is the Apple Cup normally in the beginning of the season?
No,
the fuck is this Big
Yeah,
Ten?
Yeah.
Apples aren't even. Come on, you got to wait till harvest season.
It
You
is
understand
bullshit.
how
That
apples
and the
work?
Civil War, they moved to week 3.
Who does
they
that
act
help?
They act like conferences can't do this. How come South Carolina, Clemson, Florida State, Georgia Tech can end their season in different conferences every year?
Sit down.
You filthy whores.
Sit down, Cole, because
Yeah.
you're going to hate to find out that the Apple Cup is being played at Lumen Field
I know.
in Seattle.
That's
Oh,
bullshit.
God.
But guess what? I got news for you. Washington State's going to win that game.
I was going to say, doesn't that
They
help
had him on
Washington
the ropes
State?
last year. They had him on the rope for this year. Yes, it does because it's a brand new roster.
Washington State new quarterback, but still,
So bring back the whole O line though.
that's important. Not many teams doing that. We'll talk about the ACC eventually, but my Hokies brought back a couple linemen. Yeah, I mean the
At
schedule
Oregon, at Penn State, late. I think those are two brutal spots.
at Iowa.
At Iowa, Michigan at home, at Rutgers,
Another cross country
powerhouse.
flight. I mean, we were just talking about all the travel miles.
To me, you can get to like 4 or 5 guaranteed losses fairly easy,
Yeah.
and then you just need to lose one.
I think
more,
even
two
if
more.
they were like a good team, they were probably going to regress back down to like
But
a
losing
9
all
to-
those guys, the transition, new conference, it's just too much. Fade Washington.
Yep.
I think they would be lucky to win a single road game,
Agreed.
including the Apple Cup. I'll call that even a neutral site. So yeah, I guess another under for me, Sean. Wisconsin, last in alphabetical order. 5-4 last year in conference, 7-5 overall, 6.5 this year with a -145 price to the over, +120 to the under. So what? 85 to 1 win the conference, 250 to 1 win the national championship. Last year they experimented with some dairy raid.
How'd that go?
How'd that go?
I locked up the under. It cashed.
Yeah, what was their
sorry, bet detective.
what was their what was their win? total
CJ's
last
not as sharp as us when it comes to the college ball, Colby.
I like to give him a hard time about that play. He's like, I got them to win the Big Ten, and I'm like,
He was a big Mordecai guy.
yeah. I mean, they brought in Tyler Van Dyke.
Yeah,
but
it was set
yeah.
at 8.5. We all had the under.
Tyler Van Dyke was like, talk about a fugazi quarterback.
They host Alabama, which is
Interesting
awesome.
spot,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, Madison will be rocking for that one, but
Respect. Did you know that I believe Virginia Tech either had or has a home and home with Wisconsin in the future that I believe Wisconsin backed out of it. I don't want. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but I'll say it.
yeah, look, I see. It's hard to come up with. They need to. What was it? 6.5.
kudos to them
You
for
said
scheduling.
7.5 or 6.5.
6.5.
So for 7 wins, I figure Western Michigan, South Dakota, Purdue, we're good. There's 3 right there. I'll even give them Northwestern 4. After that, I think it's hard to find Minnesota maybe 5. I'm on the under.
I think they could be a decent team, but not win a ton of games because this schedule's
Yeah.
brutal. At Nebraska, Oregon, at Iowa.
I mean, think about this: Bama, USC, Penn State, Iowa, Oregon, all on the schedule, and most of those are away.
Well, the Bama, Penn State, and Oregon they get at home. So I guess if you're making a case for the Badgers, it's like, hey,
If they can
they
go
go
2-1,
2-1 there?
Yeah. But they won't. And I think they lose in LA. Because
the juice is on the over at 6.5.
I love they're trying the air raid and they're going to come out to USC. USC is going to win that game.
Are they making any big changes to the offense?
No, they're still that's their. I mean, quarterback, but I mean, I question it. I don't think they.
So
should
they would
be doing
need
that.
they would need to win. I mean, they're going to play one of the few road games at the soccer field for Northwestern.
Which, if you're running the air raid, is not a good thing.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a back-to-back spot with the problem is that the crappy road games they do have, we like those teams. At least me, Nebraska, Rutgers.
Yeah, especially
Iowa.
Nebraska by then, because your freshman quarterback will basically be a sophomore.
Yeah, I would say that I do want to be bullish on this Wisconsin team. I'm almost certainly going to be wanting to.
I think
feel
they
like
could, they could win some games and win us some money, but they
who's
might
their
not
quarterback?
be.
Is it really
Tyler Van Dyke?
Van?
Yeah.
Fuck under. He's a you can't. It's in my black book. It's right next to Fade Narduzzi.
Ooh,
Tyler Van Dyke was a.
So Kramer, we talked about 9 teams. You have 2 going over, 7 going under.
What?
I mean, they do play each other to some degree. I'm gonna take.
I'm not a donkey.
This is like I don't.
It's Dominic
Listen.
the donkey.
These numbers are fugazi.
Let's talk about this.
I
though.
probably should go back and make Oregon an over.
Why would
Probably.
Wisconsin before under Barry Alvarez for so long was able to have such winning seasons, and why would they vote yes to adding these teams? Because, you know, okay, UCLA is down right now, but UCLA normally produces more talent than Wisconsin, and then USC, Washington, and Oregon all produce more. They made
now-
their life way worse.
All right, so we're done with the big. We finished all 18 Big Ten teams. We have this working hypothesis that expansion is gonna take 1 or 2 programs that have had a rich history,
Yes,
and it's gonna crush them.
by Wisconsin.
What 2 teams in the Big Ten will that
Well,
be?
I mean,
Wisconsin.
I
and
think
who?
Purdue will probably never be good again.
Do they have a rich history?
No, a little bit. I mean, they had some good years back in the day.
It's
But
like they have an identity crisis. Are they a train or are they a weird guy with a?
okay, Wisconsin.
chin.
Wisconsin would be one that I would be very concerned if I'm a Wisconsin fan, because I don't know that you'll ever be.
My hot take would be UCLA.
Of
Like,
course,
this is-
that one from a mileage standpoint too. That's
Like,
an obvious
No,
one.
no,
That's
I'm
a
not
deer
even
in a
saying.
cage.
I'm
right
saying
there.
like
Yeah.
they have the. You could argue they have the most prestigious athletic program in collegiate sports. Period. And for them to put themselves in a situation where they could be a fucking doormat.
Yeah.
I mean, they might still be great in other sports. They're going to be a doormat in football until something changes.
And I think they probably made basketball life harder.
Both
too for them.
LA
Yeah,
teams are going to
yeah.
be doormats. Like it's stylistically, it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
But I think Washington will do fine and Oregon will do fine. I think Wisconsin.
Yeah, no, the LA teams are different than Oregon and Washington played big boy football, in my opinion.
I even think Iowa's schedule breaks from this year, but long term, I don't know if that's the smartest thing to allow those teams, because Iowa's going to have to go to Washington and to Oregon and to LA, and I don't think they're going to win a lot of games when they do that, unless it's UCLA. I don't think they're going to be beating USC at USC.
When
or
Iowa
Oregon
changes
yeah.
coaches, I think you're right. You're going to see the program crater.
Yeah.
When
He
Ferentz-
retires.
Yeah, when he retires.
it could be this next year. You know, like
Yeah, Iowa. It does seem like their football identity is really tied to that guy. Because someone's going to come in, they're going to try and compete with like a high-powered offense. But that's not their game.
Basically, all those Big Ten West schools were stupid to vote yes on the addition. I understand they want the money, but none of those schools can bring what those other schools can bring.
But like, all right, let's make the question harder. Which of the power teams is going to get hurt the most here?
I would say probably USC. Once they get a schedule where they have to go into it, but I don't know, because USC still has all of California, really, when you think about it, because UCLA doesn't care. They get to recruit all of California, basically. Stanford's academics are too tough. Cal doesn't care. So it's like they have that a huge advantage.
You're referring to the old Pac-12 Stanford and Cal. This is the new ACC Stanford and Cal.
That's true.
See. All right, so we're all in the under for Wisconsin.
I think so. I think you have to be.
I mean,
Van
again,
Dyke's gonna be the quarterback.
I don't like fading Wisconsin here, but
so one of the things I found was the Big Ten, like I was alluding to, they have this. Basically, the Big Ten and the Big 12 have the lowest cumulative win totals when you adjust for juice.
They also play 9 conference games, so they play more Power Fives.
Yeah, no, exactly. So the idea that the numbers could not be reflecting that, because I think the average person would not be factoring that into their handicap. So yeah, that's a great strategy by me taking all the unders. That's what I was getting to.
Great strategy.
Great strategy.
I went 8 overs, 10 unders for all 18. Kramer, what do you got for a lock and a future you like?
All right, lock. I'm sure we're all going to be on this, but it did seem like we all liked Rutgers. It's very much a fun. And again, I have so few overs, and yet here I am locking up one. The unders, there's a handful that kind of stand out, but this UCLA, it's either UCLA or Washington. One of them is going to crater beyond recognition. Let's go Washington. Just seems like it's going to be such a bad spot for them. The only thing they have is that maybe they get some weird scheduling wins. Future. I don't think there's too much fun to be had here. But I guess after we discussed, why aren't we just taking Ohio State to win it at plus 155?
Yeah.
It does seem like.
I kind of think they lose to Oregon and Autzen, and then they beat Oregon, or
in
Iowa in the dome. The only thing that could screw this up is Rutgers.
Is that a lame thing to take? Because I don't like. You know what? All right, yeah, Rutgers 150 to 1.
Oh, come on, Ryan. I already had it written down.
Okay, all right, you can take. Either way.
Well, what do you want?
No, I'll take you can leave the Ohio State. I don't want to steal your Rutgers.
Okay, Rutgers over 6.5. Lock it up. Rutgers to win the Big Ten at 150 to 1. That's gonna be fun. Although I'll probably take them to make the playoffs. Is maybe more realistic. I don't know. They're both unrealistic, but it's gonna be a fun ride. And then the travel schedule for UCLA is just insane. Give me the under 5.5. Colby, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean the locks are obvious. Rutgers over 6.5. UCLA under 5.5.
Fellow sharp.
Interesting.
And
I like UCLA too.
And the future.
If there was a third lock on the show, I would have taken UCLA.
No, okay.
Let me just since there's we have to choose from this only. I think here on this side.
What are you complaining?
Well, I'm saying you're not looking
teams.
at the entire Big Ten. I'm saying you're looking at just this. I don't think it's that crazy to take UCLA plus 410 to make the playoffs. Not UCLA, USC.
Yeah,
USC. Just because you figure if they go 9-3, right? If they go 9-3, and look, their toughest games are what? LSU, Penn State's in LA, and then Notre Dame's in LA. So they're getting most of their toughest games.
Let me just break something down for you. Michigan's 9.5 win total. Granted, there's plus odds on the over. It's adjusted to 8.5 essentially. They're right at minus 110 each way basically. So they're saying 8.5 is the playoff benchmark. And so for USC at 7.5 to be getting plus 410 actually does seem like it's decent value.
Well, especially when you like
I don't like it.
Their road trips, like their 4 hardest games, only one of them's on the road.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be worth, like, just from a price wise, it's not worth what you're getting. So it's good value if you like it. I don't like it.
Profound.
I'm on the over 7 wins. 7.5 wins.
See what he's doing there?
Yeah.
Already shaving a half win.
Oh, that's the other thing, Sean. I was going to ask you last question. What what's the what is the Benedict total or future from this episode?
What will this be the most episode? Notable? I was going to say for the whole Big Ten.
For the whole Big Ten. For the whole Big Ten. Okay. Don't answer, Colby. Don't answer. We're gonna try to guess what Colby's. Wait, you've already Benedicted?
No, I'm saying if I had to choose one, the most unsure.
You don't get to choose your own. No, don't tell us, Sean. What? Now we know Colby is doing it in order of his favorite teams this year, so he's doing all the SEC teams first. So he hasn't done any Big Ten.
Team SEC over Team Big Ten all day.
Big Ten is SEC is clearly a better conference this year. By the way, the numbers
this year, every year.
This year, definitely, and maybe other years. What team will he Benedict on, Sean?
Ooh, in this episode, or
No.
Total,
the whole Big
overall,
Ten.
whole Big Ten.
oh, something's gonna happen with Iowa, and then Colby's
I feel
Colby's gonna change.
doesn't
his
matter.
mind.
Their quarterbacks, like they're fine. They're
All right, Oregon.
No,
Oregon's
this is
gonna
easy.
be.
Ohio State.
Oh, you're right.
He picked them to win the conference.
not what I was
He
thinking.
said over, and I guarantee by the time he records that fucking episode, he's
Give
gonna
me
be
the under on the Buckeyes.
That's my prediction.
my one was Indiana because that's
Oh.
the one I feel most unsure about. I'm over 5.5.
No one gives a
They're
shit
a
about
mystery
Indiana,
team
though.
though. They're
They're
a
a
fucking
basketball
complete
school.
mystery team to me this year.
They're a basketball school. Nice job, Big Ten over.
Big Ten over and out. We got SEC. We got the Big 12. We got ACC. We got all the big college football conferences. Make sure you check out those previews. We got our fantasy football top 10s. Those episodes are out. Make sure you check those out. And check out Colby, all 134 college football team previews.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean at Second the Morning Green. He's Ryan
The Big 18, Sean.
Kramer. Let it ride.